Awesome. So we're just going to do a silent read first to start out. I'm going to pace it best I can, but maybe we can just read it to ourselves. Sorry, guys, 1 second. This is so funny. I'm obsessed. Right. Woo! I'm sweating over here, guys. Oh my God. My shirt's wet. Okay. Let's begin again. Hello. I'm arriving. We're arriving together. What a nice slow arrival. Thank you so much for your help. All right. We're going to slowly read this to ourselves together. You can take out your phone or anything you like. Maybe just do a couple words, whatever feels is coming up for you in this moment. A lot's happened, so we can slowly arrive with our words. You can type it in, it can take any form you would like. Oh, it doesn't work. That's okay. All right. Can I sit on this? No. So, my practice begins with Samhita Sinha. I sit cross-legged, notebook in front of me, something warm on my feet, hot tea beside me, and I take my time.
Remembering how she would find her entry points, I visualize it. I take a deep breath, small, deep, intentional breaths, and I wait for it. Like one would wait for the perfect wave, and when it comes, I gently scoop it out. I scoop out that first saw. I repeat this until I feel satiated or exhausted, or like I have carved out all of the saw that I can, until I fully surrender to the feeling of practice. And then I reach for my ray like a bee pulling out pollen. I work my way up to the final knee. I find myself slouched over like this, sitting in front of her as if she was my mirror. Or I pull back one of my rib cages, I find my back, I find my spleen, and I let sound emerge. She catches it. She throws it back. As a first-generation Persian-Spanish interdisciplinary movement artist, much of my upbringing happened in the in-between places, in the cracks, the outside spaces looking in. Contrast was on the daily menu. Summers spent with TLC playing in my CD Walkman as I walked the streets of Esfahan, to sitting in a Catholic schoolyard during the week and Farsi school on the weekends, to watching my mom play frisbee topless with my grandmother in the south of Spain. Languages spilled into one another, blurring into a collage of vowels with varying durational pauses that would crash into a room of laughter, but I never really knew what was so funny. And reaching into or trying to understand places. And when I think about my body, as a woman, a dancer, a movement storyteller, when I'm in steady with it, I'm also in steady with my homelands. These entities intertwine the body, the landscapes, and histories across temporal spaces and remain continuous conversation with my or the here and now. A site shaped by rupture, return, excavation, and belonging. So sad, these visuals are so pretty, but I can't play them. Always impermanent and voyaging, this body was diagnosed with ovarian and breast cancer in 2022 during the Woman Life Freedom Movement in Iran. During extensive treatment, I found myself feeling a familiar feeling, the not yet here nor there feeling. I would joke with my friends, saying my body was under construction. I'm headed to the mothership. Every time it was my time for infusion week or for another surgery or rearranging. Alienhood, a familiar state of being. I have flashbacks of people calling my dad an alien, school teachers and politicians. I cringe when I hear it again now. Alienhood, a familiar state of being. My body went through many physical transitions and negotiations in the trade for more earthbound time. And while my range of motion decreased and pain increased, my curiosity for movement pathways became insatiable. Moving while hurting became my first priority. And in my slowing down, it became clear to me what had been missing from my practice, what I had been craving from the embodied inquiries was agency, sovereignty, a deeper sense of authorship. I knew that desire I knew that desire and need resided in my voice, a place I have historically experienced as held hostage. As a classical and contemporary trained dancer, I never felt like I had enough opportunities to use my voice, nor did I feel like it was welcome. As a young woman growing up in a Persian home in the US, I felt the same, and the list goes on infinitely. When working closely with artist and composer Samita Sinha, who I referenced earlier in my practice, her research unravels vocal traditional classical music through the body. I began investigating sound not as accompaniment, but as primary agent. With this liberating vocal exploration, I would practice in the bath, at Brooklyn train stops, in front of the ocean, trying and toying with both vastness and containment. I found myself adjusting my body to allow sound to move more freely. Field notes turned into drawings, into words, into more movement, letting memory disperse and reconfigure through vibrations. What I call the humming practice began with my research developed during my MFA studies at Bennington College, and it continues to evolve. The sustained tone carries me into uncharted territory. Vibration shifts muscular engagement. Voice becomes both a regulatory somatic tool and a method for digging, excavating, grounding, signaling, survival across political and personal thresholds that live inside of my body. Sound became a tool to scoop out hidden archives, the restraint that held hostage. From humming emerged long-form improvisation, led by the voice. From improvisation came documentation, and then from documentation, archive. So I do have some of that we can share. Which is just like some research ephemera. Even in formal settings, I try to situate the work in the present tense. It can be volatile sometimes, as we have felt, but I resist fixing it into a rehearsed, repeatable product. That resistance goes against the refinement and replication embedded in much of my training. But in order to access what I call the unpracticed, or some would call the wild, I have to work with the aliveness of it all, with the unpredictability of it all. In unlocking my voice, I begin to unravel the ways I've been held up and held back by the structures that have raised, educated, and trained me to be legible. This practice is about sustained tending. It is a practice of archaeology and gardening, a vehicle for cultivating what has been buried, inherited, or muted within the body. I include the etheric, the mental, and the emotional body. It asks, how do we remain conscious with the tensions between performance and practice, between aliveness and spectacle? This humming practice is one entry point to how things move in and out of my body, into gesture, and then words onto the page. So this humming practice is really at its gestational stage. It operates with other modes of embodied inquiry. And it is the scaffolding for a larger theme I'm interested in exploring and naming, what I call Persian futurism. Oops. I have been inspired by thinkers who have shaped Afrofuturism as a framework for how oppressed peoples reimagine identity and futures grounded in liberation. Persian futurity has not yet been widely articulated or coined in existing scholarship. For me, it emerges from the rupture caused by the 1979 Islamic Revolution, but it pre-exists that timeline before and after the 1953 Iranian coup, which set the stage for the Islamic Revolution. As many of you know, basic rights have been withheld from Iranian people for decades. Dance and song banned, enforced gender segregation, the replacement of secular law with Sharia law. Queerness is punishable by death, nonviolent protest punishable by death. The list goes on. Artists, scholars, activists, and civilians alike have continued to be prosecuted for engaging and fighting for and defending basic human rights. Violence persists as the people of Iran are barricaded between two wars, one enacted by the Islamic State and the most recent of the USA of Israel. The ongoing violence, prosecution, misinformation, resistance in my homeland has made Persian futurity urgent to name, define, discuss, and embody. The state-enforced mummification of embodied arts has frozen the evolution of diasporic moving bodies for over 46 years. Dance continues largely in secret, behind garden doors, in underground spaces, in living rooms, and often flattened into folklore. It is within this violent prohibition that I ask, how will culture and power be transmitted through the generations despite erasure? My privileges allow and ask me and urge me to ask what is next. And alongside my investigation of voice, I've been exploring writing itself as an embodied act. I call this sensing on the page. And I want to add that I first speak about my body and voice because they are the pathways for which my relationship to the page takes place. I'm a movement practitioner who has found gestures with words more urgent than ever. If I write it, does it make it real? I probe and explore the power of written archive and how it relates to the body and memory. I'm interested in breaking the patriarchal forms of writing, working outside of the structure of technical form. Pushing against the capitalist Western notions of writing, I play with slippages of language and use abstraction and poetics as a primary entry point to the page. Sensing on the page treats writing as an extension of the body. It is an act of somatic recalling and tracking. It asks what practice helps us understand why we archive and what we remember. I ask these questions through embodied writing. For me, working with the unseen and the imaginative is still working with an inside of movement. Influenced by Legacy Russell's framing of the glitch as a syllabus for resistance and change, I extend her thinking beyond the digital culture into questions of memory migration and inheritance. Practically, this looks like glitch as an opportunity to write from memory, to play with breath, world building, and the cracks of remembering, and to color the gaps that appear. Using glitch, and I'll paraphrase her, but as a place springboard for a new opportunity to reimagine identity and pathways. I sometimes feel I was born from glitch. Maybe I rose through cancer from glitch. It's a terrain I dare explore and attempt to move with, and most recently put onto the page. I ask a lot of questions. How do thoughts arrive and move on the page? Through the voice. How can writing function as a parameter-based research, experimental and playful, perhaps defined together in real time? I'm also interested in how cadence and tone are cultural, how words, vowels, sighs rolled off the tongue, when and why. And when I say my tongue, I'm also curious about our tongues collectively in a room together. This can practically look like using parameter-based prompts to write from memory, activating somatic tools to access sensation, exploring what emerges through sensory limitation, using the pen on paper as a mirror for what is happening inside of the body in real time. I'm still unsure what real time is, or even if it exists. I question that through movement, through voice, and through writing practice as well. The sensing on the page practice continues to lead me into deeper creative and theoretical inquiry, and the humming practice helps me to return to the pathways of my physical body. Okay. Anyways, I'm going to segue a little bit, and maybe we can all activate some body stuff together. I have to use this. Hi, can we come a little closer? Do you have a mind? Come closer to me if you don't mind. So I kind of invite all of us to maybe just find the soles of our feet onto the floor. You can be sitting or standing. And maybe we can just tap our big toe. Tap our pinky toe. I want to bring our mind's eye just into the physical part of the body. And then let's tap our heels a couple times. Good. And now let's find the triangle of our feet and push down into the floor and see what kind of energy we can kind of collaborate with here on the floor. Nice. Good. And maybe we can shake out our hands a little bit. I like to just feel the warmth and collaboration between my fingertips. So just like I'm almost cupping my fingertips together, yeah. And then I'll shake. So I'll just cup. And the goal is that you're just really, it's just mind and fingertips together. And maybe we can feel the weight of our pelvis a little bit. Let's take a collective deep breath in together. Now I'm just going to offer that maybe we pick a scent. Think of a scent and whatever comes to your mind, try to imagine that scent as you inhale. And then we can exhale maybe the flavor of that scent. And just give that a go. Let's inhale together. And exhale. Taste it, taste it. Maybe one more. See what that tastes like. Maybe two more. I love to take my tongue and just paint the top of my teeth. Maybe I'll like tickle a tooth with it a little bit. Find my molars. Yeah, maybe the back of the teeth. Like what happens when we explore a body without like encountering, without having to like work the body or like chew? You can let that go. I'm gonna do one more, one more. So another thing, just a little imaginary thing I like to do is I draw a line from the top of my head to my pelvis. But imagine that when I'm drawing the line, that it's actually a magnet. So all of the energy, everything that is in my body or surrounding my body energy, I kind of probe, I kind of will it or try to find this attraction point where the two sides come together and everything just comes in alignment. And I just start from the top and you can trace it if you like, however you like. Really just on your own, tracing down the forehead, the nose. Just something to play with. All the way down to the throat. Just an offering. You can choose to do it, you can choose to be a witness, you can think with it, dream with it, be like, I don't know what that is, whatever with it, but it's a lovely practice. Good, okay, we can let go of that. I lost you there. All right, y'all. Next, I'm going to, let's see. I'm going to put a little offering, and I'm going to put a little offering up here. So please, if you want to write, put it in your phone, same notes. I was going to put some music on. Maybe I can find it. But I'm interested in just offering a space where we can do a short writing together. So you can choose one or all of the offerings on the screen. You can write, move, or simply dream with it. So you can even like find a little corner. I know it's hard, we don't know each other, but it's a opportunity to be vague with one another in this space. So what colors, textures, sounds are asking for your attention in this moment? What is the closest memory sitting beside you today? First thought, first place, person, flavor. Maybe you can let the pen help you kind of find it, and then we'll track our sensations. So take a moment. Again, you can sit, you can close your eyes, you can do as you please. Just have a couple minutes. take a look around the room and maybe we can introduce ourselves to someone we haven't met today. And either read or share what you wrote or any ideas that you're carrying in this moment. It'd be nice if we can just like acknowledge one another in the space, say a hello, you know, like a little chat. What tour did we go? I don't know. You know? And we can just collaborate together and be big together.
You know what I mean? No, it's like, oh, you're right. I wrote,
All right.
mom and dad and
I'm just gonna give like a minute and a half-ish.
light and heart.
So, if you don't mind, would you all want to come a little bit closer to me? If that's okay. I usually would break the formation a bit more, but I am restrained, unfortunately.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh my God, please. Yes, yes. Thank you. So one of my favorite things to do, I do love doing collective reads. Like I said, I'm interested in how we meet words on the page. When I read poetry, I spend a lot of time with everything that I read, not necessarily just poetry, but I love to first read it under my breath, inside voice, and then I kind of like paint my body and my mouth with the words. And then I play a lot with glitch as I'm reading as well. So I thought maybe we could do that practice together. So I'm going to read the first line. This is my work, but I'm going to do pauses, and I would just love if anyone would want to try on the words with me. Please feel free to like go a few words back. I know it's an intimate ask, so I hold that with care. But maybe it could be like a game and we can play together. Can everyone hear me?
Yeah.
Blossoming soul, I see all the lives you've lived, radical variations sprawled out, disguised as premonitions. I see all the lives you have lived, radical variations. I see all the lives you have lived, spread out. What's ahead has always been behind. Woven in. How dizzying it is to feel your spirit orbit body.
Your spirit, orbit, already been behind, radical variations, blossoming soul.
I'm just a woman yearning to pin down right now. Flesh begging to feel the sun's warmth. Just a woman. Just a woman. Begging to feel just a woman. Begging to feel just a woman. Singing sweet high-pitched nothings, hoping. Hoping. I'm just a woman. I see all the lives you have lived. Yearning to pin down, begging to feel the sun's warmth. Just a woman. Just a woman. Hoping I make you feel good. Lathering myself in beige protection, I found myself slipping. I still hear it. Outside, inside, over there, under. A friend's embrace blurs into an explosive ew. Or misabsy, heart-shattering. I blink and catch a slit of black. I linger here. Stay longer, Junan. Brown, hairy alien, yeah, you. The longing never quenched. What the fuck? Take a breath, Junan. Points that intersect, never intertwine. Betrayal. This violent land rejects me, and thank God, maybe. In the crack, in the slip. Fereshte-nejad, my tiny soul catches its blinking breath, and I dive in, singing each syllable. Shrink, Azizan. You're not a threat, babe. Do they believe you? Shining their voices into my shame, identity, taxonomy, clickbait, go. Home in the liminal, flying above my little body. My mom's laughter continues to crash against the shore. No wind here. I wonder how the waves move and how shatter orbits with no gravity. Bell rings. Lunch break over. Back to the beige pursuit. I'll read the last one. No? So I'm just going to read the one that we read silently to ourselves earlier when we first began. racing to the finish line, spleen singing a lullaby to the ghost of my ovaries. The melody of blood sloshing around the base of my throat, my body preys on its own. Tuck, 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 tuck. Flattening me into submission, a cast iron slamming into a Brooklyn radiator, in variation, flip, extended forward, the handle softly knocks. Unforgiving pauses where you can hear the muffling of voices. I pretend to understand, an internal nod, somehow thinking they can see me, that I am understanding even though I am tied down to the table, stuffed into deprivation. How sweet the idea of hearing nothing. No voice or heartbeat or metal, my own special kind of hell. You find out who you really are inside of test tanks in rooms where all you see are beige textured robes hanging off the bodies of women you feel you must know. Feet shuffling from one room to another, peeing, then needles and peeing again. Tag, you're it? Why are we all so embarrassed? Is that you, Sally from another life? The lights are also so bright here. I wear 2 socks and my sexiest underwear every time I go. George says it's cold because they have to protect the machine. It pleases me to dream about my robe getting caught on the doorknob, me just standing there in my best red lace set, ass fat, begging to be slapped. I lick my lips to resist laughing out loud, letting the wild cackle burst out of my pelvis, surrounded by gray, a special kind of hell. I run from comet to comet, not even a breath or curl of the tongue, just one long inhalation. My heart races to the finish line. With every imaginative thread I have, I work overtime to catch my dread, scanning each eye, mouth movement, brow, and tone for a hint, a crumb, a promise that I will be okay. Thank you guys so much.